Welcome to the best course online which will help you learn, practice, and grow as a Java developer. I am Faisal. I have created this course to help developers like you gain confidence with a Java programming language. Why should you take this course? According to statistics, a majority of software programmers are not able to write code or solve coding problems by themselves. Also, according to my experience and interactions with different candidates in interviews, I see a large number of candidates, even with masters on their resume, are not able to solve simple programming exercises or struggle to solve them in coding interviews. The reason for this gap is the majority of programmers think that learning a new programming language is enough to get a job. But the truth is, you need to shape your skills as a software engineer. You need to enhance your code writing skills, your logical thinking, and your problem-solving abilities. This course will help you improve on them. This course is not a theoretical course, but we will be actually writing programs. It gives you a structured approach to solve and practice Java programming puzzles. I truly believe that practical learning is the best learning that you can ever have. This course is designed keeping beginners in mind. We have made sure that each and every programming puzzle is clearly explained in an easy-to-understand manner. So, if you are a beginner, don't worry. I am 100% committed to help you succeed. Why should you solve programming puzzles? You can master programming by reading books and online tutorials. You need to solve programming puzzles and challenges which would improve your logical and problem-solving abilities. So, if you are serious about becoming a good Java developer, you should practice problems and improve your problem-solving abilities. So, what are you waiting for? Let's take the first step and enroll in this course. I will see you inside.
Hello guys, welcome back. So in this lecture, I'm going to give you a brief overview of the project that you have downloaded. And I'm going to show you how you can use this project throughout this course. So once you've downloaded the project, you have to unzip that particular file and open it in IntelliJ or Eclipse, whichever IDE you use. That's perfectly fine. Choice of IDE, like if you're using any other IDE, it won't impact your learning experience. So this course is recorded in IntelliJ IDEA, but you are free to use any other IDE of your choice. So once you open this particular project, you will see SRC folder, and under SRC, you will see two folders. You have to go under main, and then under Java, you will see these packages. So under code, every problem that we discuss in this particular course has a file associated with it, right? And that particular file, so let's say if you are checking out the problem of reverse number, you can open this file over here. And this file will have some code already written in it. So this is nothing but a template. So you will have the problem statement over here. So this part is nothing but the problem statement. And the problem statement is you are given an integer as an input. Write a program to return the reverse of the given number. So this is the problem statement, and these are the test cases against which your code should pass. And you have to start writing your code over here. So you don't have to make any modifications in this particular file, but you have to start writing your code over here. So you can start writing your code integer A and whatever you want to write. And once you have written the code and you are done with the solution, you can run this particular code. So the moment you run the particular code, you will see the output on the console, and you will see whether your code is working against the test cases. In order to solve this particular solution completely, all your test cases should pass over here. So instead of fail, it should come pass, 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 and pass. Okay, it's failing right now. I'm getting fail everywhere. That's because I haven't written any code over here. All right. So you don't have to modify or touch any other code. You have to just work with this function. Right. So this is the problem here, which is nothing but the commented code. You have some test cases also over here, which will help you understand this even better. So for example, this problem says you are given an integer as an input, and you have to get the reverse of the number. So let's say if the input is 23, the output should be 32. If the input is 45, the output should be 54. So these are few example test cases which will help you understand this problem even better. So you can write your code keeping these test cases in mind. Okay. And the moment you run program, your code is evaluated automatically against these test cases. All the test cases are present in this particular folder, tests. So you don't need to go and check this particular folder or files over here. If you want to check, you can check. There's no issue whatsoever. But make sure you don't make any changes. If you make any changes here, like the code will break and your program won't work properly. Okay. So you have to make changes in this particular function where I have written start writing your code here. Okay. And every problem in this particular course has a file associated with it, except a few. I'll be talking about them shortly. But every lecture, majority of the problems in this particular course has a file associated along with the test cases. All right, there are a few exceptions when writing test case was not possible. So I have a different guide for that as well. But for now, we'll talk about the problems with the test case. So this is how you can use these particular file. Okay, let's check out some other problems. So you have this another problem called find Bob. The structure will look similar. So you can see there's a main method and you have to start writing the code over here, solve this particular problem. And you can see the problem over here. So it says return true if the given string contains blah, blah, blah. And this is the entire problem, some test cases, and you have to start writing the solution here. Okay. So you can even view the documentation. So this is nothing but the documentation tag over here. And you can view the documentation by clicking on the function. So I'll click on the function here, find Bob, and I can go to view and I can say quick documentation. I have to check the documentation of the class. You can see class is documented and you can see the documentation here, right? So this is how you can use this particular files. Okay, and you have to just work under the files under this code package. So under this code package, you will find a list of all the files and you just have to work over here. Okay. Now, there are few problems wherein writing test case was not possible. Like you have pattern problems. So how would you write a test case for that? So there's no test case written for that, but there is a package already created called pattern. So for these particular problems, you can go to this pattern package and you can create a new file and create a new Java class, name it as per your convenience, and you can start writing the code in there. Okay. So in every lecture, I will first explain the problem and I'll also help you with the analysis of the problem. We'll identify some patterns. And once you have understood that, I'll ask you to pause the video and try the problem yourself. Okay. So you can try solving the problem yourself. And once you have attempted it, you can play the video and watch my solution. So this will help you evaluate yourself and help you understand whether you are able to solve the problems or not. So this is about how can you make use of this particular course and how can you make use of this particular project as well. So I hope this was clear enough. And if you have any queries or questions, you can reach out to me in the Q&A section. So I hope you guys enjoyed this class and found it valuable. I shall see you guys soon. Thank you. Hello guys, welcome back. So in this lecture, we are going to talk about a problem, and this problem is about reversing a number. And by the end of this lecture, you are going to have a complete understanding of this problems, how we went about solving this, and you will also be seeing an optimized solution. So let's get started. So let's start discussing the problem first. So I have this problem file open in front of me, and you can see there is some documented code over here. So let's go through the problem. So the problem is you are given an integer as an output. Now you are expected to write a program to return the reverse of the number, right? So you are given an integer as an input and you have to return the reverse of that particular number. So how do you go about solving this? And you can see there are a couple of test cases that I have written over here. So you have return reverse. We are calling this function return reverse with 23 as the input, and you are seeing 32 as the output. So this is the expected output, complete reverse. 45, you get 54 as the output. So this is about the problem. Now let's see and let's try to think on how we can solve this particular problem. Of course, if you understood the problem, you can pause the video right now and you can attempt the solution yourself before even seeing how we can go and analyze the problem over here. All right. So we'll hop on to our presentation and we'll start thinking about this particular problem. So the first thing that we should know and we should understand is reverse is nothing but taking the last digit and putting it first. So obviously we all know this, but in programming terms, like if you have to identify a pattern, you should know that in order to get the reverse of a number, you need to take the last digit and put it first, and then take the next last, which is nothing but the second last right now, and put it after first. And you have to do this repeatedly till we reach the first digit, and the first digit then goes last. So this is nothing but how a reverse is created, a reverse of a string or a number. All right. So another thing that we should know over here is that the modulo operator that you see over here, so this is the modulo operator in Java, and with the help of this operator, if you use this operator and you divide any number by 10, you get the last digit of any given number. All right. So we know what is reverse now. How can you create a reverse? You take the last digit and put it first. You take the second last and put it first. And we also know that with the help of modulo operator, if you use modulo operator with 10, you can get the last digit of any given number. So these are the two cues in like which you can use to solve this particular problem. And there are two ways to solve this particular problem as I can see. So the first way is to get the last digit and append it to a string to form a reverse. So you can form a reverse by taking the last digit and appending it to a string, then take the second last, append it to a string and form a reverse, right? This is one way. Another way is to use this particular formula here. So you can see this formula. So the formula is, so sum is equal to sum into 10 plus remainder. So this is the formula that you can use to form the reverse. So there are two ways in which you can solve the problem, and we are going to explore both the ways right now. But before that, I would request you all pause the video right now and attempt the solution yourself and see if you can try and solve this problem. All right, so welcome back. I hope you guys attempted the solution over here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start solving the problem with the help of the first way. So by using the first way, wherein we discussed that we can get the last digit and append it to a string to form the reverse. So we are going to try out the solution, and we are going to write our solution in this function over here, where we have this start writing your code over here. So first I'll create a string over here, and since the string is changing, so we will be frequently changing the string and we would be appending the last digit, right? So hence I'll be using a string builder because you can change that. So I'll say string builder answer equal to new string builder. So we have created an object of string builder. Now I'll create a temporary variable over here and I'll assign it the actual value that we are getting over here. All right. And I will also create a variable called remainder. Now what remainder will do is it will store the output after we use the modulo operator. So let me show you how. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say while. So I'm going to use a while loop and I'm going to say while n is greater than 0 over here. All right. And within this while loop, all the magic starts. So the first step would be to get the remainder. Okay. So like we discussed, how we can get the reverse. So you can get the last digit and you can put it first. And to get the last digit, we would be making use of the modulo operator, right, along with 10 for you. So you can see we have the remainder now. So let's say if the number is 123, you will get 3 over here in the remainder variable. Now, what I'm going to do is I am going to say answer dot append remainder. I'm going to append the remainder onto the string builder that we created, right? So we have got the last digit. Now, after getting the last digit and appending it first, I need to remove that last digit from the main number. This is because if we don't remove the last digit, every time this loop is run, okay, this will be an infinite loop then, and every time we run this loop, we'll keep getting the last digit. So we need to remove that. Now, how do we remove that? So we'll make use of the division operator over here. And this is the operator that we are using. All right. And instead of returning 0 over here, I'll just change this to return sum. Sorry, not sum, but instead I'll return answer over here. So answer is currently in the string builder format, I'm sorry. And we need to return an integer over here. So I'm going to pass this. I'm going to make use of integer dot parse int. And this particular method accepts string as the parameter. So I'm going to say dot. So I think we have solved the problem over here. All right. Now I'll run the solution. Let's see what the output looks like. All a bit. So you can see we are getting pass for all our test cases, and we have successfully written the solution. So one thing that we can do over here is we didn't use this temp variable over here. So I can just remove this and I'll just run this. You can see the test cases are still succeeding, right? All right, so this is how you can attempt this particular solution, and we solved this particular problem by using the first way. So we got the last digit and appended it to a string to form a reverse. Now let's try out using this formula wherein we say sum is equal to sum into 10 plus remainder. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to comment this code over here. And now I'm going to start writing the second way. So for the second way, I'm going to create remainder and a sum. So we need to store the sum. So I'm just creating a sum variable, and we need to store the remainder as well. And I'm going to create a while loop over here, and I'm going to again say while n is greater than 0. Got brackets over here, and here I'm again going to say remainder is equal to n modulo 10. So we got the last digit. All right, and we have the formula as sum is equal to sum into 10, and I'll say plus remainder. So this is the formula that we just saw over here. Sum is equal to sum into 10 plus remainder. Okay, we've used the same formula here. The formula used remainder, and hence we calculated the remainder first. Now over here, I need to remove the last digit, right? And I need to return sum. So let's run this and let's see whether the test cases pass. So you can see all the test cases are passing. So this is how you can solve this particular problem with the help of the formula. So I hope you guys have a clarity on how you could solve this particular problem and how you could think around a couple of ways in which you could solve this. So if you can find any other way in which you can solve this particular problem, I'm happy to hear. You can post this in the Q&A forum, and I would happy to review that solution. So that's about this class, guys. So in this lecture, we solved this particular problem of getting and finding the reverse of a particular number. So I hope you guys enjoyed this class and found this valuable. I shall see you guys soon. Thank you. Hello guys, welcome back. So in this lecture, we are going to talk about another problem, and I have this problem open here in front of me. Just click on this function. I'll go to view and say quick documentation. So when you do this, you will see the documentation that I've written over here coming in a pop-up formatted. You can either do it this way or you can read it from your choice. We'll talk about the problem. So the problem is to write a program to check if the number is a palindrome or not. And if the number is palindrome, you return true, else you return false. Now the question is, what is a palindrome number? So palindrome number is a number which reads the same forward and backward. For example, if you read 1 to 1, 1 to 1 is an example of a palindrome number. If you read it in a forward direction and backward direction, it's one and the same. The number 3 to 4 is not a palindrome number because the forward way is 3 to 4 and the backward way is 4 to 3. So they both are different. And hence this number 3 to 4 is not a palindrome number. So this is about the palindrome number, and you can see you have some test cases written over here. So we'll check the test cases here. So you can see you are evaluating it against 1 to 1, get true as the output. 223 is not palindrome, and hence you should get false as the output. And you have this input as 333, you get true as the output, and 987 is not a palindrome, so you get false as the output. And we would be writing a code over here in check palindrome function, which takes integer as the input, and it evaluates this integer and returns boolean true or false. So this is about the problem. Now let's talk about how we should think about this problem. So this is about the problem over here now. Now let's see how we can think about the solution. So if you want to attempt the solution right now, you can just pause the video and attempt it. So meanwhile, I'll just start talking about how we can think about the problem over here. So the first point that I would like to mention over here is to identify if a number is palindrome or not. You have to first get the reverse and then compare it with the original, obviously. So if you want to see if the number reads in a similar way in forward as well as the backward direction, you will have to get the forward version. So forward version is nothing but the number itself, and the backward version as well, which is nothing but its reverse. So you have to get the reverse as well as the original number, and you have to compare them both. And if they both are equal, you can say that it's a palindrome number. So this is point number one. Point number two is reverse. What is reverse? So reverse is nothing but taking the last digit and putting it first, then taking the next last digit and putting it after first. So this is how you get the reverse of any given number. So these are a couple of points that I would like to make over here before you start attempting the solution. Another thing that I would like to mention and you should know about is modulo operator. If you use modulo operator on any number along with 10, you can get the last digit of that number. So I think you have enough of hints now over here. So like to identify the number as a palindrome, you have to compare the reverse and original. All right. Now reverse, what is reverse? How do you get reverse? So one hint over here is you can use the modulo operator along with 10 and you can get the last digit of any given number. And how do you get reverse? So to get reverse, you can take the last digit, put it first, second last digit, put it next, third last, put it next. And you have the reverse and the original number preserved. So what I would request right now is you all should pause this video and attempt the solution yourself. I think you have a couple of hints now. So you should attempt the solution and then you can play the video again to watch the solution that I give you. So pause the video right now and I'll see you soon. So welcome back. I hope you guys paused the video and attempted the solution, and let's now hop on to our coding editor. And here I'll try solving this solution myself. So what I'm going to do is we are going to start writing our code over here. All right. So if you run the code right now, you will see that it's failing. You can see failing. So we are just passing false by default. So few test cases it's passing. Wherever we are expecting false, it's passing. Wherever we are expecting true, it's failing. So it should pass for all, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to minimize this and we are going to start writing the solution. So in the first solution, what we are going to do is we are going to use a formula to get the reverse. And the formula that I'm going to use is I can say a variable. So any variable equal to variable into 10 and going to add the remainder. So this is the formula that I'm going to use over here. You can even write the solution by getting the last digit, adding it to a string, and then essentially converting that string to an integer. You can even do that. But I'll go by this approach over here, right? So I'm going to create few variables over here. I'm going to create temp and I'm going to assign it the original number that we are passing over here. So this I'm doing is to preserve the number because we'll be modifying n. So we should store the original value of n so that we can compare it later on. So the reason we will be comparing is to check if it's palindrome or not, right? So we have created a variable temp and I'll also create a couple of more variables. I'll create a variable called remainder, which will store the remainder of that we calculate from the number. I'll create variable called sum, right? And now I'm going to run a while loop. I'm going to say while n is greater than 0. Okay, and say remainder. So I'll get the remainder first. I'll say n below, right? So this is the remainder that I have got. Now I'll use this formula over here. So we'll use the variable sum. So sum is equal to sum into 10. This around brackets. And I'll add number. Add the remainder here, right? And I'll say n is equal to n by, right? So what we are doing over here is we are finding the reverse and then after we get the remainder, we are reducing or we are removing the last digit. Okay. Now, what we need to do is, so we have reverse with this variable over here, sum, and we have the original number stored over here, temp. So n is modified because we have continuously divided n and we made it 0, right? But we have the original number that we received in temp. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to compare straight away. I'm going to say if temp is equal to sum, I'll say return true, and else we can return. I'll just delete this return statement. Now let's run the code and let's see what the solution looks like. So you can see we are getting past all the test cases essentially over here, right? So if you haven't understood this modulo operator, what I will do is I will write a print statement over here and I'll print remainder so that you get a clarity on what exactly is happening over here. I'll just run this and you can see we have some prints over here. So for 1 to 1, we first got 1. N divided by 10, right? We got 1. That then we are printing that 1 over here. Then in the next loop, we got 2, right? And in the next loop, we got 1 again. So 1 to 1, we got every single digit in every iteration of the loop. So that's the benefit of using the modulo operator. And I will also do another print over here, right? A n. I'll run this. So I'm just printing the value of n at that given point in time. So you can see in the first iteration of while loop, we got 1 and then we divided n by 10. And once we divided, 1 to 1 became 1 2. So we got 1 in the remainder, which is nothing but the last digit. And after getting the last digit, we removed the last digit by dividing the number by 10. Then the second iteration, we got the last digit. The last digit here was 2. And then we divided n by removing 2. Then we got the last digit as 1, and then n became 0 because we removed the last digit. And then we exited this loop because n is no longer greater than 0. And then we got the reverse simultaneously over here inside, and we compared it with the original number, and we got the output as true or false, whatever. So just by writing a couple of print statements, you get a clarity on what's happening exactly inside your code. So this is one way of solving the solution. Okay, I can see there are a couple of optimizations that are possible right now. So we are checking if temp is equal to sum, and then we are returning. So we can optimize this line and can see if statement can be simplified. So IntelliJ is telling us. I'll say revert if statement. We don't want to revert. Is we are going to say return. So whatever is the output of the comparison is returned. So if they both are equal, true will be returned. If they both are not equal, false will be returned. We just saved a couple of lines of the code by optimizing this particular solution. So this simple optimization was possible here. So I thought I would do that. So this is one way of solving the problem. Okay, there is another way wherein you can even get the reverse by using string. So you get the remainder over here. Okay, now instead of using this formula here, you can create a string builder over here. So I can say, you get this entire code right over here. So sum, I'll say string builder. String builder. Instead of this line over here, I'm going to say append. We are just appending the digits that we are getting, right? And here I'm going to compare it with the answer. And since temp is an integer, I need to parse it to the int. I'm going to say ans. Having an error because you have to pass in string as the input. So I'll just cast this to string. I'll run this. So you will still get the same output here. Everything is passing. So what we did over here in this particular solution is we now using string builder, and we are getting the reverse using string. Instead of using this formula, we are now just appending in the string, and in the end we are just converting this string builder to string, then string to integer, and we are comparing and passing the output. So this is how you can solve this particular solution, guys. And I hope you guys now have clarity on what the solution looks like and how can you go about solving this particular problem. So I hope you guys enjoyed this class and found this class really valuable. I think we covered a lot in this lecture. So I hope you guys enjoyed this class. I'll see you guys soon. Thank you. Hello guys, welcome back. So in this lecture, we are going to solve another problem. And I have the problem open here in the coding editor. And I'm just going to go to view documentation here. So here's the problem. So we need to write a code to check if an electric car is ready to drive. And what do I mean by ready to drive is it's ready to drive if the car's battery is not drained and if the doors are locked. So we have to check if our car is ready to drive, and we'll do this check and we'll say it's ready to drive when the battery is not drained and the doors are locked. So we have to write a method which returns true if the car is ready to drive and false if it's not ready to drive. And we would be writing our code in this particular method here, ready to drive. And you can see it accepts two parameters. So the first parameter is the battery parameter. So first parameter says battery not drained, and the second parameter says whether the doors are locked or not. So if both are true, we return true. If the battery is not drained and if the doors are locked, then we return false. So you can see over here, this is the method we are talking about. So if the battery is not drained, so if this is true, and if the doors are locked, then our car is ready to drive. If the battery is not drained and if the doors are not locked, so we get false. If the battery is drained, which means that battery not drained is coming as false, and the doors are locked, then also we get false because the car is not ready to drive. And if both are false, that means battery is drained, and if the doors are not locked, then we get false again. So we have to write the code over here. Okay. All right. So this is about the problem now. Now, what I would request you all is to pause this video right now and attempt this solution yourself and see if you can come up with a solution that satisfies these test cases, right? So pause the video right now and try attempting this problem, and I'll see you guys soon with the solution shortly. So welcome back. I hope you guys got a chance to attempt the solution. So I'm going to start writing the solution here. I'll just start by writing a couple of if conditions, or not couple, we'll actually need one if condition. So we need to see if the battery is not drained and if the doors are locked. And if both the conditions are satisfied, we return true, else we return false. So I'll start writing if battery not drained equal to false, or door locked equal to true, then I return true, and else I return, and I'll just remove this line over here. Pretty simple. I'll just run this code and let's see what the output looks like. So you can see it's passing for all the test cases over here, right? And this solution was just a if statement. So we checked if the battery is not drained and if the doors are locked. Okay, this solution worked perfectly fine. And I would like to highlight that there is a scope of optimization over here. So it's 4 lines of code. You can even optimize it. So the first optimization is we have to see whether this condition is evaluated to false always. So instead of comparing it with false, since it's already Boolean, so what I would do is that I would just remove this. I'll say not over here. If this is true, and I'll just remove this part since it's already Boolean. So if this is true or this is true, then return true. Okay, I'll run this code. You can see, so false, false, get true, true, false, you get false. So you can see this solution works perfectly fine. So this is one way of optimizing it, and I can still see further scope of optimization. So this entire 4-line code can be trimmed to 1 line. There is no need to write 4 lines of code. And how can you do that? So I'll just delete this here and instead just pass return over here. You can simply return this. Let me run this code. Well, it works fine. So you can see how we optimize this from multi lines of code to a single line of code. So this is our solution. So we are checking if the battery is not drained and if the doors are locked, then our electric car is ready to drive. So let's summarize. So in this lecture, we understood this problem of electric car and checking whether it's ready to drive or not. And we saw different ways of solving it and optimizing it. So I hope you guys enjoyed this class and found it valuable. I shall see you guys soon. Thank you. Hello guys, welcome back. So in this lecture, we are going to talk about the spaceship problem. And by the end of this lecture, you are going to have a complete clarity on what this problem is. We will be understanding this problem and we will also be taking a look at the solution. So let's get started. So I have problem already open here on my coding editor, as you can see, and we'll go through the problem. So we need to write code to check if there is any issue with our spaceship. And our spaceship has two indicators. One is the red indicator and the other one is yellow indicator. The spaceship is having problem if both the indicators blink or none of the indicators blink. So either both should blink or none should blink. If one blinks, there is no problem in spaceship. Now we have to write a method that tells us if a spaceship is having any problem or not. And we return true if there is any problem and false if there is no problem. So here's the method that we are going to write, and you can see this method ready over here. And you have two parameters. One is for red indicator and one is for yellow indicator. So true indicates that red indicator is blinking and false indicates that this red indicator is not blinking. So it's same for yellow indicator as well. True and false, we'll have two parameters. So you can see the test cases over here. So you have true, true. So if both are blinking, so you return true because there is a problem with the spaceship. If one is blinking, then you return false because there is no problem with the spaceship. If yellow is blinking, then again there is no problem with the spaceship. If both are not blinking, then there's a problem with the spaceship. So any one of the indicators have to blink. If both are blinking or both are not blinking, then there's a problem. So this is the problem that we have to solve. Now I would request you all to pause this video right now and attempt this solution so that you get some practice on logical thinking. So pause the video right now, attempt the solution. I'll see you guys soon with the solution. Thank you. So welcome back. I hope you guys tried attempting this solution. We will try attempting this solution ourselves. So we'll start by writing if conditions. So we have to check if the indicators are burning or not. We'll say if red indicator is true. So if red indicator is burning and if yellow indicator is also burning. So if both are burning, we return true. Else we check for the second condition, else if. So if red indicator is not burning and yellow indicator is also not burning, then we return true again, or else we return false. So delete this code. So it's pretty simple. We check if both are burning or if both are not burning. And in both the cases, we return true, else we return false. Let's run this code and let's see what the output looks like. So you can see all the test cases are getting passed away, right? So this is the perfect solution. Now let's see if we can optimize this. So since the input is in Boolean, we can definitely remove this is equal to true. I'll just say simplify. And IntelliJ is smart enough to give all these tips to us. Simplifying, we are simplifying. By this, run this, you can still see the same output. Okay. Another way is you can convert this entire code a single line. How can you do that? So I'll just comment this here. I'll say return. I'll take this condition. Okay. Or take this condition. I'll put it over here. So I just converted this multi conditions into a single condition. And I've used this OR operator over here, right? Now let me run this. Let me see the output. So you can see it's still passing. All right. Now OR operator will make sure that if either one is true, it will return true that case. Okay. So if this particular condition is true, then it will return true. And if any of the conditions is true, you will get true as the output, else you get false as the output. All right, so this is one way of optimizing. There is, you can even optimize it further. You can see one pattern over here. So you get true if both are true, right? So this is a pattern, and you get false if they both are not equal to each other, I should say. So if these both parameters are different, then you get false. If they both the parameters are same, then you get true. What I can do is I can simply read this entire thing. I can say turn red indicator is yellow indicator. I'll return the output of the comparison for both. So if they both are equal to each other, you get true as the output. Okay. They both are equal to each other, you get true as the output. If they both are not equal to each other, you get false as the output. Simple. I'll run this code and it works perfectly fine. So this is how we optimize this particular code over here. And you can see we reduced this code from, I think, 1, 2, 5, 6 lines, a single line with just one comparison. And this is the most efficient solution for this particular problem with just one condition check. So let's summarize. So in this lecture, we understood how we can solve this spaceship problem. And we also understood the problem first. We tried attempting it ourselves and we saw the solution as well. In the end, we also optimized the solution by ourselves. So I hope you guys enjoyed this class and found this class valuable. I shall see you guys soon. Thank you. Hello guys, welcome back. So in this lecture, we would be talking about a problem wherein we will be checking the farthest number. And by the end of this lecture, you will have a clear understanding of this particular problem. And we will also be understanding its test cases. We will also be exploring the solution. And we'll see if we can optimize it as well. So I hope you guys are excited. So let's get started. So you can see the problem here on the screen. So problem is, write a program which returns the farthest number from 20 out of all the numbers that are given as an input. And you can see the function is over here. So you have this function return farthest, which accepts two parameters, n1 and n2. And what you are essentially doing is you are checking which number is farthest of both these numbers from 20. And whichever is the farthest number, you are returning that number in the return statement. So if you see the test cases over here, you see the test cases. So if you are getting 12 and 9 as the input, you can see 9 is far away from 20 than 12. In case of this second test case, you can see there are two inputs, 22 and 23. So which one is far from number 20? So obviously 23 is far away from the number 22. In case of 33 and 100, you can see 100 is far away from 20 than 33. And in case of 1 and 0, 0 is far away from 20 than 1. So 1 is a little bit closer than 0 from number 20. So this is the output that we are expecting. So what I would expect right now is, since you guys have a clear understanding of the problem, I would request you all to pause this video right now and try the solution yourself. If you are able to solve the solution, well and good. If you are not, no issues. You can resume the video and take a look at the solution. So pause the video. I'll see you guys soon. So welcome back. I hope you guys got a chance to attempt the solution yourself. So we'll try solving the solution ourselves. So what we are going to do is we are going to start typing in the code. And let's think on how we can arrive at the solution. So we have to check which number is farthest from number 20. What we are going to do is, one way is to get the difference between 20 and that number and then comparing the difference. All right. So for this particular example over here, 20 minus 12 is 8 and 20 minus 9 is 11. So you got the difference of both these numbers from number 20. And now you see which one is greater. So over here, I can clearly see 11 is greater. So 11 is the difference of 9 from 20. And hence, 9 is farthest. All right. So this is how we will be coming on to the solution. So another way, another parameters or another test case that we have is 22 and 23. So what is the difference of 22 from 20? So the difference is 2. And then we have 3 as the difference. And 3 is greater than 2. So if 3 is greater than 2, obviously 23 is farther. And likewise, we'll be doing for these two test cases as well. So the first step, like we know now over here, is getting the difference. So we have to get the difference of both the numbers. So first I'll start by getting the difference of the number n1. Then I'll get difference 2 of number. All right. So we are getting difference of both the numbers over here. After we get the difference, what we are going to do is we are going to compare the difference. If 1 is greater than if 2, then we return n1. If the difference, first difference is greater, then n1 is farthest, else n2 is farthest. Right? And I'll just delete this return statement over here. And if we need to handle one more condition, if both are equal, then we return 0. Right? So there's one odd case that we need to handle. If 2 greater than if 1. Right? So we have written the code. Let's now run the code and let's see the solution. So you can see we are failing for these two test cases. All right, I know the reason as well. So problem is these two numbers, 22, 23, like these two test cases have numbers greater than 20. So our code is working well if the numbers that are passed are lesser than 20 because the result is positive. But if the number is greater than 20, you are getting a negative number and then the comparison is failing. All right. So in order to solve that, we need to use this function math.absolute, wherein we are converting a negative number into a positive one. We'll be using this particular function over here. Right. And now we'll run this particular code. Let's see what the output looks like. So you can see the output is perfect and it's working fine for all the test cases. So some couple of lines I would like to say about this function absolute. So without absolute, we are comparing the negative values and we are getting the wrong result. It would work fine if the numbers given as the input are smaller than 20. All right. Without absolute, if the numbers given as an input are smaller than 20, then it would work absolutely fine. And to make our program robust, we need to make use of absolute function from the math class so that we can play with a wider range of value as an input. So I hope you guys got some good clarity on how you can solve this particular problem. So that's about this class, guys. Let's summarize. So in this lecture, we understood this problem, return the farthest number from 20, and we also understood its solution. So I hope you guys enjoyed this class and found this class super valuable. I shall see you guys soon. Thank you. Hello guys, welcome back. So in this lecture, we are going to talk about another problem called evenly spaced. And I have the problem in front of me. So by the end of this lecture, you will have a complete clarity on what this problem is. We will be attempting these problems ourselves, and also we would be taking a look at solution and even optimizing it in the end. So let's get started. So here's the problem. So the problem is, let's say you are given three integers as input, A, B, and C. Now you have to return true if all three numbers are evenly spaced. Now what I mean by evenly spaced is 1, 2, 3 is evenly spaced number. So you can see over here in the test case. So these are the possible combinations and you can see 1, 2, 3 is evenly spaced and hence you are returning true. Even 5, 10, 15 is evenly spaced. So you are returning true again. And You are even returning true if all the numbers are same. So if it's 333, all right, all the numbers are same and you are returning true. So you are not returning true, instead you are returning false if the number is 223. So these are not evenly spaced numbers, right? You're also returning false if the number is 1, 2, and 30. And similar way if the number is 244. All right. So these are some of the test cases that will help you understand this problem even better. So this is about the problem, guys. We are going to write a solution over here, and you can see we have three variables here as an input, A, B, C, with which we have to work, and we have to return the boolean output as true or false. So what I would request you all right now is I would request you all to try and attempt this solution yourself. You can pause the video right now and attempt this solution yourself. So attempting yourself will give you some clarity on whether you are able to solve it or not. So pause this video right now and attempt it yourself. I'll see you guys after you attempt it, and you can watch the solution that I present to you. All right. So pause the video right now. So welcome back. I hope you guys got a chance to solve the problem by yourself. So now what we are going to do is we are going to attempt the solution ourselves. All right. So we'll start writing a code over here. So we are going to start looking for conditions with which we can immediately say that these are evenly spaced or these are not evenly spaced. So one condition that I can think of is if all the values are equal to each other, you have to simply return true, right? Because you can see it over here. If all the values are equal, then you simply return true without any processing. We'll first check for this condition. If we'll say A is equal to B and if A is equal to C. If this is the case, then return true, right? We'll also check if any two numbers are equal to each other, right? So we'll say if A is equal to B or if B is equal to C or if A is equal to, if this is the case, then return false, because if any of the two values are equal to each other, then it does not make sense going further because like they are not evenly spaced, right? So we first check if all are equal to each other, return true. If all are not equal to each other but any of the two numbers are equal to each other, return false. So we did two major checks over here, right? Now how do we identify whether the numbers are evenly spaced or not? So one way to identify that is by getting the difference between all three numbers. So if you can get difference between all three numbers, and if that difference is equal to each other, then they are evenly spaced. So I should say difference 1 is equal to, right, I'll first declare this as well, math dot absolute, and I'll say a minus b, right? So we are doing a minus b here, and we're also using this function math dot absolute, and we are using this because there is a possibility that we might get a negative number as well. We don't want to deal with negative numbers, and hence we are using this function. I'll get another difference, and this difference will be a minus c right now, and I'll get another difference, this will be b minus c. All right, so we are trying out different combinations here, and we are doing this because there is a possibility that numbers you get are in any order. So there is a possibility that a might be the largest of both, c might be the largest of both, and b might be the largest of both. So any permutation combination is possible. So we need to get three differences here, and we will say if 1 is equal to diff2, then we return true. All right, we say if diff1 is equal to diff3, then again we return true, right? Okay, we are getting some error over here. Sorry, we don't have to assign, we missed a equal to symbol over here. We are again going to say if diff2 is equal to diff3, then return true. We are handling all the cases by writing these conditions. So the first condition will be true if C is the largest number, A is of medium, and B is the smallest. This will make sure that it returns true if A is the smallest, B is medium, and C is the largest. And likewise, the third condition will also return true. So we return false in the end if nothing matches, right? Let me run this code and let me show you all the output. So you can see we are seeing all the test cases being passed. So this is one way of solving this particular problem over here. All the test cases are passed. So let me just do a quick review of what we did over here. So in the beginning, we checked if all the numbers are equal. So we don't want to do unnecessary processing. If all the numbers are equal, it's obviously true. So just return true. If all the numbers are not equal, then you haven't returned true and you come to the second condition and you check over here. Okay, so all are not equal. So are any of the two values equal? If they are equal, we return false, because obviously if any two numbers are equal and third one is not equal to those both numbers, then definitely they are not evenly spaced. So you just return false in that case. And then we have evaluated other conditions wherein we have got the difference of A, B, C, and we tried different permutation combination to get the output. So this is the solution that works for all the test cases and it gives us the desired result. So this is one of the ways in which you can solve the problem, right? There are other ways, so I'll also give you a demonstration of that. So for that, I'll now comment this code right now since we have a working solution handy. So there is one more way of solving this particular problem is by using arrays. So right now we observed a problem over here is that like there is no guarantee in which order we are getting the input. So there is a possibility that A might be the largest, there is a possibility that B might be the largest, there is a possibility that C might be the largest. But imagine if we get all the input, all right, all the possible input in sorted format. So if you get it in sorted format, then obviously what you can do is like, let's say you have 3, 1. Like if you have sorted it in descending order or ascending order, like 1, 2, 3, right? What you can do is you can do a quick check and you can say 2 minus 1. What is the output of 2 minus 1? We'll also check what is the output of 3 minus 2. So if these two are equal to each other, so 2 minus 1 is equal to 1 and 3 minus 2 is equal to 1, then obviously they are evenly spaced. But for such a simple logic to happen, you need to get the values in sorted format. But right now we are not getting it in sorted format. So what we can do is we can use arrays and convert the unsorted format to a sorted version for the simplicity of the solution. How do we do that? So let me show that to you. I'll just remove this. What I'll do is I'll say integer array. I'll just create an array and I'll create an array with these three values a comma b comma. Okay. We have these three values and now we have a function in arrays which is nothing but the sort function. I'm going to pass the array over here. So what this function does is it returns the sorted version of the array, right? And now since we have the sorted version of the array, it's pretty simple to evaluate if they are evenly spaced or not. So I can say return, okay, arr. There are three values. So if the last value, if the difference of last value and the second last value equal to the, let me put this spaces. So if the difference of the last value and the second last value equal to the difference of the second last value and first value. So if this condition is true, then of course they all are evenly spaced. So let me run this. You can see it's passing for all. So just 3 lines of code, but we have used arrays over here, right? So this is another way of solving this particular problem. It's pretty simple. So you just got the difference of last and second last, and you just got the difference of second last and the first element, and you are just comparing the output. So this is one way or I should say another way of solving this particular problem. There's one more way. So let me comment this as well. All right, let me show you another way. This is like a fun way. I love this method of all the two that we have explored. So let's look for patterns over here. So if you see, wherever we are getting true, let's observe the pattern. So one pattern is, so there is a smallest number, and there is a medium number, and then there is the largest number. If you add small and large number, here the small is 1 and the large number is 3, you get 4 as the output. Okay, so the addition of small and large number is equal to twice of the mid-size number. So twice of mid-size number, like 2 twos are, it's equal to 4 is equal to 4. So if this condition is satisfied, then they all are evenly spaced. So how do we know if three numbers are evenly spaced? So if you add small and the large number, okay, they will be the twice of the medium always. So this is one condition that you should keep in mind, and this is one pattern that you can observe over here. You can see. So let me show you one more example over here. Let's see this one. Okay, so smallest is 5, the largest is 15. So 5 plus 15 is 20. Okay, and twice of the medium, which is 10, twice of medium is also 20. We return true over here, and they're evenly spaced. Okay, and this condition won't be satisfied if they are not evenly spaced. So you can see, like, we don't have smallest and largest case. It won't work in this case. Let's say we take 1. So 1 plus 30 is 31, and twice of medium, which is 2, is 4. So 31 is not equal to 4, obviously, so you have to return false. So this is one pattern, or this is one logic or formula, you can say, whatever you can call it. So let's code this version over here. So this is the solution number 3 that we are going through for the same problem. So we can say return, okay, and in return if a plus b equal to twice b. So we don't know which one is largest and which one is smallest over here, right? So it can be possible that a and b are the largest and c is of medium size. So if that's the case, then handled by the statement. If A and C are largest, if A is smallest and C is largest, and if B is of medium size, then this condition will work fine. Okay. If B is smallest and C is largest, and if A is of medium size, then this condition would satisfy. Okay. So I can combine all of this into a single statement, in fact. So I can say, or done, or. I think this should work. Let me run this code. All right, it works perfectly fine. You can see. So what we are doing is we are checking if the addition of smallest and the largest number is equal to the twice of medium. If that's true, then they're evenly spaced. So this is how you can solve this particular problem evenly spaced. And I hope you guys have a fair clarity now on the solution of this problem and how also you can optimize this. So let's summarize. So in this lecture, we took a look at the different ways in which you can solve this particular problem evenly spaced. And we also tried attempting this problem ourselves, and we also understood this problem from like different inputs perspective. So we took a look at different test cases. So I hope you guys enjoyed this class and found this class super valuable. I shall see you guys soon. Thank you. Hello guys, welcome back. So in this lecture, we are going to talk about a problem called unlucky number. And we are going to understand this problem first. We are going to take a look at its test cases, and we are going to attempt this problem by ourselves. And after we are done with the attempt, I'm going to solve this solution for you all. And we are also going to take a look at the possible optimizations and different ways or different solutions in which this problem can be solved. So let's get started. So here I have the problem in front of me. You can see the problem says, let's say you are given three integer values a, b, and c, and you have to return the sum. However, there's a trick. You have to return some of these through three values, but there is a trick. 20 is considered to be an unlucky number as per numerology. All right. So, out of all the values that are given as the input, if one of the values is 20, then it is not counted towards the sum. And the values to the right also do not count. So, for example, if B is 20, then both B and C do not count for the sum. So you can take a look at this test case over here. So here you don't have 20 as the parameter. You have 1, 2, 3. So the output is 6 because we don't have an unlucky number. Here you have an unlucky number as C. So the sum is 3 because we are not counting C. Here the unlucky number 20 is B. So we skip B and C both, right? So the output is 2. And here first number a is unlucky, which is 20, so we just return 0 as the output, so there's no sum, right? So this is the problem and we have to look for a solution. So what I would request right now is I would request you all to pause the video right now and try attempting this problem yourself so that you can get some clarity on whether you are able to solve it or not. So once you are done with the attempt, you can play the video and you can watch me solving this particular problem. So I'll see you guys soon. So welcome back. I hope you guys tried attempting this particular problem over here. All right. So we'll try attempting the solution. So what we will do is we will check. So one way to solve this is to check where the number 20 is. So whether it's A, whether it's B, or whether it's C. And if it's A, then we make everything 0. A is 0, B is 0, and C is 0. And if B is 20, then we make B and C as 0. If C is 20, then we make only C as 0. And in the end, we take the sum of all three numbers. So this is one way of solving this. Let me show you the code for this. So if we check A is equal to 20, if this is the case, then you do is A is equal to B is equal to C. All three are 0, right? You assign 0 to all three variables. You also check if B is equal to 20. So if A is 20, then all three are 0. B is 20, then B is equal to C equal to 0. If C is 20, then C is equal to 0, right? Your comparison, all right? And in the end, we return the sum. So you return A plus B plus C, all right? Let's run this code and let's see what the output looks like. So we're done with the execution and you can see it passes for all the test cases. So this is one of the solution that you can take a look at. So here in the solution, what we are doing is we are checking where or which variable has the number 20. If A is 20, then all three are 0. B is 20, then B and C are 0. If C is 20, then C is 0. So this is one of the possible solutions for this particular problem, right? So you can also optimize this particular solution in a way wherein you can use a conditional operator. So instead of writing this multiple if statements, you can optimize this into a single line of code. I'll just comment this and I'll show you how you can use conditional operator here. So if you are coming from a Java background, you will know what conditional operator is, right? So conditional operator is it takes condition 1, have this condition 1a. If this is true, then it evaluates B, right? Else it evaluates C. Here instead of colon, have okay. So this is the conditional operator and how it works. I'll just move this and we can say return. I'll first evaluate a condition if A is equal to 20. If A is 20, what do? we return 0. If A is 20, there's no addition. So we simply return 0. If A is not 20, then what do we do? So we check if B is equal to 20. B is equal to 20. If you understand this well, this is nesting of conditional operators. If B is equal to 0, what we do is we return A, okay, because there's nothing else to add. B and C both become 0, and the addition is just the value of A itself. So if B is 20, then we return A, else we check if C is equal to 20. If C is equal to 20, what do? We return A plus B. Okay. And if C is also not equal to 20, then what do? So we return A plus. I hope this is clear. Let me explain this again if there is any confusion. We are using conditional operator and we are nesting the conditional operator. So first we are checking if A is equal to 20. A is 20, then we return 0. If A is not 20, we evaluate if B is equal to 20. B is 20, then we evaluate and we return A. Okay. If B is not equal to 20, then we check if C is 20. If C is 20, we return A plus B. And if C is also not 20, then we return A plus B plus C. Let me run this. Let us see the output. You can see it's passing for all the test cases. So this is a one-liner solution for this particular problem. So I hope you guys have a clarity on the solution now. So let's summarize. So in this lecture, we understood what is unlucky number problem, and we took a look at different test cases. We also tried to attempt this solution ourselves, and in the end, we took a look at a couple of solutions for this particular problem. So I hope you guys enjoyed this class and found this class valuable. I shall see you guys soon. Thank you. Hello guys, welcome back. So in this lecture, we are going to attempt this problem, check speed on highway. And by the end of this lecture, you are going to have a complete clarity on what this problem is, what are the different test cases. We will even try attempting this solution ourselves, and we will take a look at the possible solutions for this particular problem. So let's get started. So let's first start by understanding the problem. So what is the problem? So the problem statement is given over here. We have to make sure that we drive at the right speed on and off the highway. All right. And this function is going to help us check that. So when you are not driving on highways, you have to make sure you drive between the speed of 40 and 60. When you're not driving on highways, you have to make sure that your speed is between 40 and 60. If you are driving on highways, there is no upper bound, right? So there is no upper bound, but make a note that there is a lower bound. So lower bound still exists, upper bound is gone. So if you are driving on highway, you cannot drive below 40, right? And you have to return true if you're driving at the right speed. So this is the problem, and these are the different test cases. You can also take a look at the parameters that we are passing to this particular function. So we pass speed and we pass a Boolean parameter to tell the function if we are driving on highway or not. For example, if we are not driving on highway, but speed is 30, then we return false, because obviously the lower bound is 40. If we are driving at the speed of 50, but we are not on highway, okay, so we are not on highway, so in that case we return true, right? If we are at the speed of 70 and if you are on highway, then you return true, because speed of 70 is allowed on highway, all right, because there is only lower bound on the highway of 40. So this is the problem. Now I hope you guys have a clarity on what the problem is. So I would request you all to attempt this solution yourself first, and then probably come back and play the video, right? You can pause the video right now, you can play the video and watch me solving this particular solution. So I'll see you guys once you attempt yourself. Thank you. So welcome back. I hope you guys got a chance to attempt this problem by yourself. All right. So we are going to attempt the solution over here. Just scroll a little bit, start writing our code over here. So if you understand the problem well, you will notice that if you are on highway, all right, your speed should be greater than equal to 40. Okay, there is a lower bound, no upper bound. If you are not on highway, then your speed should be between 40 and 60, right? You return true in both these cases. If you do not match this case, then you return false. So let's start by writing if conditions to evaluate this. If is highway is equal to true and speed is greater than equal to 40, return true. If is highway is equal to false and speed is greater than equal to 40 and speed is less than equal to 60. So the limit is 60. We return true, else we return false. Right? So we'll remove this. Okay, so I hope you understand what I've written over here. So if we are on highway, then we have a lower bound of 40. There is no upper bound. We return true. Speed is above 40, equal to 40 or above that. Fine. If we are not on highway, then there is a lower bound as well as upper bound. So we compare that and we return true. We are using AND over here because both the conditions should be satisfied, right? So let me run this code and let's see what our test cases say. So you can see we're getting passed for all the test cases, which means our code is perfectly fine, right? But there is a little scope of optimization over here. You can see we don't need to compare this highway. We can change this to not. If I run this, it will still work fine as expected, right? So this is one way of solving this particular problem. There is another way. So I'll just comment this first way. And there is another way. So another way is by changing some of the if conditions here and there. So what we can do is we can evaluate if we are on highway, right? If we are on highway and if the speed is greater than 40, we return true, else we return false. If we are not on highway, then we check for the speed limits. If speed is between 40 and 60, then we return. So the major check over here is if we are on highway or not. Okay, this is just another way of writing the same solution. So you can say if we are on highway and if speed is greater than equal to 40, I just return true, else I return. Okay. And if I'm not on highway, else I'm not on highway, then I return the output of this comparison. So I check if speed is greater than equal to 40 and speed is less than equal to, and I can run this. So again, you can see all the test cases are passing over here, right? You can again optimize this solution. Okay, so instead of doing a Boolean check and returning true or false, what I can do is I can simply write return statement over here. Okay, return output. So you don't need to do multiple checks. I run this. See, it's still passing and we have the right output. There is one more way of simplifying this. So rather than writing this multiple lines of code, what I'll do is I'll comment this and just write a single line of code. Okay. And one common element between being on highway and not being on highway is the speed should be always above 40. Okay. First, I'll make that check if speed is greater than equal to 40. Okay, that is one check. And so this is mandatory, and that's why we are using this and operator over here. First condition is done. Now, if we are on highway, okay, then the speed has to be above 40. If we are not on highway, then speed has to be between 40 and 60. What we can do is we can say speed greater than equal to 60, and we can write or is highway. Right? So this is one common condition. Speed has to be always above 40. And we also check if speed is less than 60. So if speed is less than 60, if this is true, then we get true as the output over here. If speed is not less than 60, then this will be true. If this is true, then we get true as the output because we are using OR over here, right? So let's run this. Let's see the output. You can see it's passing for all. So this is a one-line solution for this particular problem. So I hope you guys have a clarity on different solutions over here, right? So let's summarize this lecture. So in this lecture, we took a look at check speed on highway problem. All right, we checked the speed. We understood the problem first. We understood the test cases, and then we also tried attempting it ourselves. And once we were done with the attempt, we took a look at different solutions that we can use to solve this particular problem. So I hope you guys enjoyed this class and found this class valuable. I shall see you guys soon. Thank you. Hello guys, welcome back. So in this lecture, we are going to take a look at this problem, check speed on highways. And by the end of this lecture, you are going to have a complete clarity on what this problem is, what are the different test cases. We will also try to attempt this solution ourselves. And once we are done with the attempt ourselves, we are going to take a look at the actual solution, and we are going to even see if we can solve this problem in multiple ways. So let's get started. So I have the problem written here in front of me. So the problem says we have to make sure that we drive at the right speed on and off highways. When you are driving on highways, you have to make sure that you drive between 60 and 90 inclusive. If it's raining, then the upper limit is 100 instead of 90. You have to return true if you're driving at the right speed. So we'll be using this function check speed to evaluate our code, and we'll be writing the code in this function. And we have two variables over here, speed and is raining. So is raining is of Boolean type. So true means if we get true over here, it means it's raining. And if we get false over here, it means it's not raining. We have a speed parameter. So if the speed is 100 and if we are getting false, which means it's not raining, then the upper limit is 90, right? So if the upper limit is 90, then we get false because you're not driving at the right speed. If you are driving at the speed of 100 and if it's raining, then you get output as true because if it's raining, the upper limit is 100 instead of 90. So in this way, you have to solve this problem and you have to satisfy all these test cases. So before jumping onto the solution, I would request you all to try and attempt this problem yourself and give it a shot. This will give you some clarity on whether you are able to solve it yourself or not. So I would request you to pause the video right now and attempt it yourself. Thank you. So welcome back. I hope you guys got a chance to pause the video and try the solution yourself. Right, so I'll start writing the solution myself. So what we are going to do is we are going to start writing some if conditions. We are going to first check if it's raining. If it's raining and say if speed is greater than 100. So if it's raining, you have a speed limit of 100 and speed should be within 100 and 60. Right? This is what you are evaluating over here. And if this is true, then you return true. Else, we won't be writing else now. We'll be writing if one more condition. If it's not raining, for example, not raining and this case, speed limit is 90. So I'll just copy this condition, paste it over here. And the speed limit we're saying is 90 now. Turn true. Okay. And else return. Right. Just remove this return statement from here. So what we are doing over here is we are checking if it's raining. If it's raining, then we have to be within 160. If it's not raining, then we have to be within 90 and 60. Okay. Let me run and let me see what the output looks like. So you can see we're getting passed for all the test cases. All right. So this solution works perfectly fine. All right. But this can be optimized. All right. I'll just run this here. How do we optimize and how can we make code a little bit shorter? So what I can do is I can make use of conditional operator over here instead of if else. So I can say return. You can check if it's raining. If it's raining, right, I'll say speed has to be, if it's raining, speed has to be between 60 and 100. So I'll just copy this statement over here and I'll paste it. If it's raining, speed is between 100 and 60. Okay. Yes. If it's not raining, then speed has to be between 90 and 60. Right. So this is a one line code for this. So if we are checking if it's raining, if true, we are returning the comparison of this. If it's not true, then returning the comparison of this. Let me run and see the output. You can see it's passing for all. There are no issues as such. So you can also invert the condition over here. Instead of checking if it's raining, you can check if it's not raining. Okay, so I just inverted the condition and you can move this condition on that side. Condition changes, right? And this should work fine as well. You can see it's working fine. We just reversed the condition that we had written over here. True became false and false became true. So this is the solution, guys, a one-liner solution instead of writing multiple if statements. So let's summarize. So in this lecture, we understood this problem of checking the speed on highways in rains, right? And we came up with the right solution. We saw different test cases. We tried attempting this solution ourselves, and we also took a look at different solutions for this particular problem. So I hope you guys enjoyed this class and found this class valuable. I shall see you guys soon. Thank you. Hello guys, welcome back. So in this lecture, we are going to talk about how can you print right angle star pattern on your console. So by the end of this lecture, we are going to have a complete clarity on the solution for this. We are going to analyze this pattern and we are going to understand how we can come up with the solution. So let's get started. So here on the screen, you can see the pattern that we wish to print on our console. All right, and it's a right angled star pattern. So you can see this is what we intend to print on the console. All right. So before jumping over to the solution, let's analyze this particular pattern here. So analysis will give us some insight on some of the patterns that we are supposed to identify and how we are supposed to go about coding it. So let's get started. So to analyze, first what we will do is we will divide this pattern into rows and columns, right? We'll do something like this, right? And this will give us some clarity on the pattern that this particular pattern follows. Okay, so you can see over here, there are 5 rows and 5 columns in this particular example, and we can call them I and J, right? So let's call I will become rows and J will become the columns, right? So you can observe that the number of rows keep on increasing. So there are 5 rows and the number of stars also keep on increasing with the number of rows. So in row number 1, there is 1 star. Row number 2, there is 2 star. Row number 3, there is 3, and so on. So we need to have two variables, I and j, and we need to start all the way from 0, and we need to go till the maximum value, which is 5 in this case. Okay. And for j, we can have a nested loop. So I will be one loop which goes through the number of rows, and j will be another nested loop which will print the number of stars within that particular row. All right. So as discussed earlier, the number of stars in a row is equal to the number of rows, and hence we are going to increase the value of j up to the value of I mean. So for example, in the first iteration, I is equal to 1, and we'll make sure like we increment j till 1. Okay, so if I is equal to 1, we'll print one value over here, one star over here. If I is equal to 2, we'll print 2 star with the help of j. So j will always start from 0 and it will go till I. So if you haven't understood this, let me hop on to our coding editor and let me give you a demo of this. In case you have understood this, I would request you all to attempt this coding challenge for yourself. So I would say you should pause the video right now and you should attempt this. All right, so I hope you gave this an attempt. So let's hop on to our coding editor and let's understand how we can go about solving this. So in order to solve this, we will first need to decide the number of lines that we are going to have in this problem. So we are going to say integer lines equal to 5. So I'll say 5 by default. And now as discussed, I'm going to start a for loop. So one for loop, or create a for loop with I, and this will go over till the maximum number of lines. Okay. So this particular for loop keeps the track of the number of lines, and then we have another for loop, and this for loop is with j, and this will go up to I, or j is less than equal to I, j plus plus, right? And then we are going to print the star. We are going to include a space at the end, right? And once a single iteration is completed with j, we will print a new line. So if you observe, once the j finishes the iteration, there is a new line. J finishes the iteration, there is a new line. So there is a new line for every line that we have with I, and hence we are adding this particular line over here. Now let me run the code and let me show you the output, what it looks like. All right, so there's something wrong over here. Okay, I got the mistake. So the mistake we did is we printed over here system.out.println, but instead we don't want to use println because that will take us to the new line. Instead we want to use system.out.print. Now let me run this and let me see the output. So you can see we are getting the output as desired. All right. So what's happening over here is we have created two variables. One variable is I, okay, and the another variable is j, which keeps the track of the stars. So I keeps the track of the number of lines and j keeps the track of number of stars. And we are using these two variables within for loop, right? So I is iterating over the line. So for first line, when I is equal to 0, we go to j, and j is also equal to 0, so nothing happens. When I is equal to 1, we go inside, j is equal to 0. So what j does is it prints 1 star, because it prints 1 star and then it goes back to the for loop to evaluate the condition. And when the condition is evaluated, it fails, and hence we exit the loop. So there is 1 star printed. Then again we increment the value of I, and I now becomes 2. Once the I becomes 2, j starts from 0. So it starts from 0 and it prints 1 and 2. And once it becomes 3, the value of j becomes higher than that of I. So I was 2 and j becomes 3. So it exits the loop and prints a new line. When we print new line, we see this caret coming on to the next line, right? And then I becomes 3. So we are now on third line, and j again prints 3 over there, the third line, and then it prints a new line. And in this way, we go up to 5 lines. So this is how we print this entire pattern that you are seeing here on the screen. So I hope this lecture added a lot of clarity on how you can solve this particular pattern, and I hope you guys have understood the logic behind this. So let's summarize. So in this lecture, we understood how we can print right angle star pattern on our console. And I hope you guys enjoyed this class and found this class valuable. I shall see you guys soon. Thank you. Hello guys, welcome back. So in this lecture, we are going to talk about the inverted star pattern. So this is inverted right angle star pattern. And you can see this on the screen that I have projected here. And in this lecture, we are going to understand how can we write code and logic, print this pattern on our console, and we are going to actually code a solution that is going to print this. So by the end of this lecture, you are going to have a complete clarity on this pattern, and you will be able to do and write code by yourself for this particular pattern. So let's get started. So this is what we are going to print. All right. Now, before jumping onto the solution, let's analyze and understand how can we print this on our console. So first thing we would do is divide this into rows and columns. And as you can see over here, there are 5 rows and 5 columns. Let's call them I and J respectively. I stands for rows and J stands for columns. Now if you notice, row number 1 has 5 stars. Row number 2 has 4 stars. Row number 3 has 3 stars, and so on. The number of stars keeps on decreasing with increasing number of rows, which means that the columns in the table are decreasing with every increase in the row. So the total number of stars in the first row is equal to the number of rows in the pattern. So you have 5 rows in the pattern, and the total number of stars in the first row is equal to that. And then it keeps on decreasing. So we are going to have it start from 0. So I is going to start from 0 and all the way up to the total number of rows. And then we will have a nested for loop for this variable j, which starts from the maximum value and prints the total number of stars in that particular row. So j will start from 0 to 5, and sorry, I will start from 0 to 5 and j will go from 5 to 0. So they both go in the opposite direction. I will increment itself and j will decrement itself, right? And this is because the number of stars are decreasing with the increasing number of rows. So I hope you guys understood the logic and how you can go about writing the solution. And we have analyzed this particular problem here, and we have identified on how we can write the solution for the same. So what I would request right now is you guys should pause this video right now and attempt this solution by yourself. This will help you understand if you can solve this solution by yourself. So pause the video and come back so that we can go over the solution over here. All right, so I hope you guys got a chance to write the solution, and let's start by writing the solution ourselves in the coding editor. So to start with, we are going to define the number of lines, and the number of lines in our case is 5. Okay, we are going to have a for loop. So this for loop is going to have I as the variable, and it will start from 1 and it will go all the way till the number of lines. Let's have one more for loop called j, which starts from the number of lines. So j goes in reverse direction like we discussed, and till j is greater than equal to I, j will decrement itself. So we are comparing I and j, okay, over here in the inner loop. That's because when the value of I increases, the value of j decreases, and the number of stars should also decrease. All right, and I'll do system.out.print. I'll remove ln and we'll print a star over here. I'll put a space, and then once the iteration of j is over, we can print new line. Now let's run this code and let's see what the output looks like. So you can see we have successfully printed the inverted right angle star pattern. let me explain this once again. So we started with the total number of lines over here. So the number of lines that we wanted to print was 5. We had two for loops, nested for loops. One for loop with the variable I kept the track of total number of lines, and obviously it went from 1 to the total number of lines. We had another for loop internally which started from the maximum number of lines or from the total number of lines, and it went till the value of I. It kept on decrementing itself, and we kept on printing a star without printing a new line. Once we printed star using J loop, we exited and we printed a new line so that we could have a new line after star is printed. So this is how the solution worked, and I hope you guys now have a fair clarity on how you can print inverted right angle triangle star pattern. So that's about this class, guys. So in this lecture, we understood how you can print this particular pattern. We analyzed the logic behind this, and we also wrote the solution in IntelliJ IDEA. So I hope you guys enjoyed this class and found this class valuable. I shall see you guys soon. Thank you. Hello guys, welcome back. So in this lecture, we are going to do and solve this triangle pattern that you are seeing on the screen right now. And by the end of this lecture, you are going to have a complete clarity on how you can analyze this pattern. We will be doing analysis of the logic that you can do to analyze this particular problem and solve it so that you can print this on your console. So let's get started. So if you see this pattern closely, you will notice that we need to first decide on the number of lines that we want to print, right? And you will also notice that every line starts with a certain number of spaces, which keeps on decreasing with the increasing number of lines. So for example, the first line has the maximum number of spaces, and this keeps on decreasing with the second line, third line, fourth line, and so on. Also, the number of stars that you are seeing in this particular diagram on the screen, the number of star is equal to the number of lines. So line number 1 has 1 star, line number 2 has 2 star, and so on till line number 5. So how are we going to solve this and print this on our console? So the first step is to decide on the number of lines that you want to print. So in this case, we need to say 5. So we are going to print on 5 lines. And we need to have a space variable which will keep track of number of spaces that are to be printed on every line. And we need to initialize the space variable with the value that is less than the total number of lines. And we will need a for loop which will run equal to the number of lines that you want to print. So there will be a for loop that will run 5 times for an example. And within this parent for loop, we will have 2 nested for loop. Okay. And one loop will print the number of spaces, and the second loop will print the number of stars. So since the total number of spaces keeps on decreasing, the first loop will keep on going in reverse order, right? And it will keep on decreasing with every increase in number of lines. However, the second loop, which prints the star, its value should keep on increasing with increasing number of lines, since the number of stars keeps on increasing. So this would be the logic that we can write to solve and print this particular pattern on our console. So I would request you all to pause this video right now and attempt this solution. And once you are done with your attempt, you can come back and watch the solution. So I hope you guys got a chance to attempt the solution. Now let's hop on to our IDE and let's see the solution in action. So to start with, I'm going to have 2 variables. So the first variable is obviously lines, and we are going to say 10 lines, for example, or we can start with 5 as well. We'll keep 5 for the sake of simplicity. And then we need to have one more variable called space. We'll initialize this with 4, which is less than the total number of lines. Okay. And now we will have a for loop which will start from 0 and it will go all the way till the number of lines, or we'll start it from 1 and it will go all the way till the number of lines, right? And then we will print the spaces. We'll have two for loop, one to print the spaces and another one to print stars. Okay, so I'll create the for loop number 1. We have for loop j, and this for loop will keep on printing the space. Say for j is equal to 1 and till we'll make sure that j goes up to the value of space. Okay, and we'll say system.out.print will print a space over here, right? We are done with the printing of space, and with every iteration we'll make sure we reduce the value of space. So like we saw in the pattern, the number of spaces keeps on reducing with every iteration or with every line. So here the outer for loop represents the line. So the number of space should keep on reducing. So this upper limit should keep on reducing so that the number of spaces come low. And now we'll write a for loop which will print the stars. So we can say for j is equal to 1 and j is greater than equal to I, say j plus plus, and copy this print statement. We'll paste it over here, but instead of space, we'll print a star and a space. And then outside this loop, we'll print a new line. Okay. Now let's run this and let's see what the output looks like. So you can see we have successfully printed the triangle having star as the pattern. So let me explain this once again. So let me summarize. So we created two variables, which is lines and space. So lines was initialized to the number of lines that we wanted to print, and space was initialized with a value less than that of lines. We started with a for loop which kept a track of the number of lines that we wanted to print, and within each line we first printed space and then we printed stars. We made sure the stars iteration went up till the number of lines, because number of stars in a line is equal to the number of line, right? So in first line you have 1 star, second line you have 2 star, and so on. And in spaces for loop, so in this for loop that prints spaces, we made sure that the counter went up till the space variable, and we also made sure that we reduce the space variable with every iteration. And in the end, we also printed a new line outside these two loops within a line for loop. And we executed the code to see the final output. So this is how you can print a triangle of stars and you can get the output in this format. So I hope this was pretty clear. And in this lecture, we understood this problem on how we can print the triangle of stars, and we analyzed this problem and we devised a step-by-step solution for the same. So I hope you guys enjoyed this class and found this class valuable. I shall see you guys soon. Thank you. Hello guys, welcome back. So in this lecture, we are going to talk about the inverted triangle star pattern. And by the end of this lecture, you will have a complete clarity on how you can print this particular pattern on your own on the console. And throughout this lecture, we will analyze this particular pattern. We will devise a step-by-step solution. And in the end, we'll code it onto our IDE. So let's get started. So let us first analyze this particular pattern. So if you analyze this pattern, you will notice that there is a fixed number of lines that we have. And in this example, we have 5 lines. Then we have the number of stars. So the number of stars in this particular pattern is highest on the first line. So if the total number of line is equal to 5, then the first line will have 5 stars. So the number of stars in the first line is equal to the number of lines itself. And number of stars keep on increasing with increasing number of lines. So on second line, we have only 4. On third line, we have 3, 2, 1, and so on. Then there is a space. So you can see some space over here on the right hand side. And the space keeps on increasing with increasing number of lines. So how would you write code to print this particular pattern on your console? So as a first step, you will need 3 for loop. One would be the outer for loop and 2 would be the inner for loop. So the outer for loop will start and it will go reverse. So it will start from the total number of lines, and we have 5 in this case, and it will go reverse from 5 to 1. And then we would have one inner loop within this outer loop, which will print spaces, right? And then we will have one more loop that will print the number of stars after printing the spaces. So this is how the logic will be. The number of stars that we'll print, we have to make sure that they go on reducing, basically from 5 to 1. So this is the solution, and this is the step-by-step explanation of the solution. What I would request right now is, I would request you all to pause the video right now and try attempting this problem by yourself and see if you can come up with a solution. So pause the video and then later on you can play to watch the solution. Welcome back. Now we are going to discuss this solution and we are going to actually code it. So to start with, I am going to have a space variable over here. Space is equal to 0. I'm initializing this to 0 because the space keeps on increasing. All right. So we'll start from the least value and then we'll keep on increasing. Now I'll have a for loop. I'll create the outer for loop, which would be equal to the number of lines. So the number of lines that we wish to have is 5. Okay. And we'll make sure that this goes till 1 and it keeps on reducing. So this is a reverse for loop. And now here we will have 2 for loops. So one is to print spaces and the other one to print stars. Okay, we'll create this for loop first, print the spaces. Now, if you notice the pattern, the number of spaces keep on increasing. So we have to start from 1. We have to have at least 1 space, and then we keep going till this variable space. Okay, and we'll print in space away. Right. So this is one for loop. So let us have one more for loop here, and we can say this for loop is equal to, starts with 1 and it goes all the way till the value of I. Okay, and we print star over here. So this for loop is meant to be printing star. All right, and then outside the for loops, like within the main for loop, we will have a print line statement, and we will also increment the space. So since spaces are increasing with every iteration, we start from 0 and we make sure that with every iteration we increase the value of space. So initially the space, there is no space printed. Then we have 1 space printed because the value becomes 1. Then we have 2 space printed and so on. And same goes for star. So initially we have 5 stars printed because the value of I is 5 in the first iteration. And then as we iterate through the loop, the value of I keeps on reducing, and hence the number of stars also keep on reducing, because initially it was going till 5, then it went till 4, 3, 2, 1, and so on. Let me run this code and let me show you the output. So you can see the output. We are getting that exact pattern that we saw on the screen. So this is how you can write code to print inverted triangle of stars. So I hope you guys enjoyed this class and have a clarity on how you can write code to solve this particular pattern. So in this lecture, we understood and analyzed the inverted triangle star pattern, we devised the logic for the same, and we also coded the solution. So I hope you guys enjoyed this class and found it valuable. I shall see you guys soon. Thank you. Hello guys, welcome back. So in this lecture, we are going to talk about the string palindrome problem. And by the end of this lecture, you would have completely understood this particular problem, and you would have understood the logic for the same, and we would have also devised a solution around the same. So let's get started. So you can see the problem here on my screen. So the problem says write a function which accepts a string and checks if the string is a palindrome or not. Okay, now what is a palindrome string? So palindrome is nothing but a string which can be read in a similar way in the forward direction as well as the reverse direction. For example, you can see the test cases over here. You have name. So name cannot be read in the same way in forward direction, in reverse direction. So hence we are returning false. But dad is a palindrome string. So you can read dad in the forward direction as well as in the reverse direction. It's one and the same, DAD. And if you reverse it, it's still DAD. So it's a palindrome string, and hence you are getting true as the output. Java is not a palindrome string. Civic is a palindrome string. So this would be the function wherein we would be writing our code. It accepts one parameter, which is nothing but the string which we want to evaluate, and it returns Boolean output. So true if the string is palindrome, false if the string is not palindrome. So let's analyze the problem here. So in order to get the palindrome, you will have to get the last character of the string and make it the first. Then you get the second last character and make it the second. Then you get the third last character and make it the third character. So in this way, you can do a reverse traversal in the string and get one character one by one. Okay, so let's start writing the solution. But before writing the solution, I would request you all to try out this solution by yourself. So I would request you all to pause the video right now and attempt this yourself. And once you are done with the attempt, you can come back and play the video to watch the solution. Thank you. So welcome back. I hope you guys got a chance to try out the solution yourself. So we are going to try and solve this particular problem here. Now we need to iterate over the string to get every character of the string. Now how are we going to iterate? So we need to iterate in the reverse direction, right? And to iterate in the reverse direction, we need to know the size of the string. So to start with, I'll create a variable j, which will keep a track of size of the string. So this is the size of the string. And then I'll also have I basically, which is nothing but a counter that we'll be using. And I'll initialize this counter to 0. Okay. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a while loop, and I'll go from I till j. Okay. Now, I is nothing but a counter which we are using to compare both the values. Okay. So what we are going to do is we are going to fetch the first character and compare it with the last character. Okay. So I is nothing but the counter which starts from the beginning of the string, and j is nothing but the counter which starts from the last character of the string. And one more thing that I would like to add over here is we want to add -1 over here. The reason for this is, let's say if civic is a string, so the length of the string would be 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So it has 5 characters, so the length is 5. However, if you want to access the last character, you can access it using str, and you can say character at. Instead of 5, you need to mention 4 over here. That's because of the string indexing. So strings start from 0 index. So 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4. So in case of civic, you will have C present at 0th index, I at 1, and so on. The last character will be at the 4th index. So if you want to get the 4th or the last character, you need to access it using 4. And 4 is nothing but length minus 1. So the length is 5 and we are doing minus 1 because the indexing in the string starts from 0. I'll just delete this line. So what we are doing is we are taking a counter and we are comparing the first character and the last character. So if the comparison fails, we are returning false. And in the end, we are returning true. Because if we didn't return false, it means every character, which is nothing but the first and last one, were equal to each other. So what I'll do is within this while loop, I'll write in if string dot character at I is not equal to string character at. So if they both are not equal to each other, then we stop the loop and we return false, right? And we increment I and we decrement j. After we are done with the while loop, we return true over here. So I hope you got a sense of the logic. Now let me run this code and let me show you the output. So as you can see, the output, it's passing for all the test cases. So let me explain the solution to you all. So the strategy that we use to solve this problem is comparing the first character in the string and the last character. Then we went and compared second character in the string and the second last character. Then we compared third character in the string and the third last character and so on. So what we did is we took two counters. One was equal to the length of the string minus 1 and the other counter started from the beginning. And we started a while loop, okay, and we made sure that one counter increases with every iteration and one counter decreases. And then within the while loop, we checked if the beginning of the string is equal to the character in the end of the string. And if this comparison failed, we returned false immediately. Otherwise, if we successfully iterated through the loop, we returned true. So this is how the solution for this particular problem worked. And I hope you guys have a clarity on the solution for this problem. So let's summarize. So in this lecture, we solved this problem of the string palindrome. We understood the problem, we analyzed it, and we solved the problem on our IntelliJ IDE. So I hope you guys enjoyed this class and found it valuable. I shall see you guys soon. Thank you. Hello guys, welcome back. So in this lecture, we are going to talk about this problem, mixing strings. And by the end of this lecture, you are going to have a complete understanding of this problem. We are going to analyze this problem and understand the logic behind the same. And in the end, we are going to have a solution coded to solve this problem. So let's get started. So you can see the problem here on my screen. So the problem says, given two strings A and B, create a bigger string made of the first character of A and the first character of B, the second character of A and the second character of B, and so on. Any leftover characters go at the end of the result. So what it says is, for example, if you have two strings like this, the string A and string B, the first string is ABC, second is XYZ. So you have to create a third string which has first character of A, second character from here, then second character here, then again the character here, one character from the first string and one character from the next string. And if there are any leftover characters, you can just append it in the end. So for example, in the second test case, you have first string with hi and second with there. So you can see this last string was just appended, this one, okay, the end. So this string was just appended because the A string, like the first string, did not have enough characters. It just had two characters. And we are going to write our code in this particular function. We would be having two input parameters and one output in the form of strings. So let's first analyze this particular problem and understand how would you go about solving this. So if you observe this particular problem, you need to first have the length of both the strings and you need to get the max. So you need to know the length of the bigger string. So here in this particular case, this string has length of 2 and this string has length of 5. So you need to know that you have a bigger string with the length of 5. And then you need to iterate to the bigger strings. Okay, so you need to have a for loop running or a while loop running, whatever. You need to have a loop running till the maximum value of the length. And within this particular loop, you can take one character of the string A and the second character of the string B. So you can have one character from each for every iteration. And in the end, you can just append the remaining characters to the string. So this would be the logic of this particular problem over here. And this is how you can solve it. So what I would request right now is I would request you all to pause this video right now and attempt this solution yourself. And once you are done at attempting, whether you are able to solve it or not, you can play the video and watch the solution that I present to you. So welcome back. I hope you guys got a chance to work on the solution. Now let's start solving the solution over here. So what I'm going to do is I am going to create two variables wherein I'm going to get the length of both the strings. So I'm going to get a dot length. I'm going to have b length will give me the length of, right? And I'm going to have max, which will give me the max of both a and b. Okay. Sorry, not max of a and b, but max of a length and b. So you get the max now, and then you can have a string defined called word. So this is the string that we are going to return, and we will initialize it with empty quotes. Okay. Now what we are going to do is, so we need to return this particular string word here. So I'll just write word. And now we need to devise the logic to fill in word. So we will have a for loop, right? And we'll start it from I and we'll go up to max. And then we'll check if I is less than equal to a of length minus 1. Then I'll append word. A word will get a dot substring I comma I plus 1. Okay. What we are doing is we are checking if the length of I, or basically the value of I, is less than length minus 1. And we are doing this minus 1 because the index of string starts from 0. So if the length is 5, the maximum index is 4 because the index starts from 0. So we keep on appending this, and I'll write a similar condition for this as well, b length, and I'll add b over here. Okay. So what we are essentially doing over here is we have a for loop, and within for loop we are getting one character of a string and another character of b string, and we are appending it to word, right? And if this condition fails, which means if a is smaller than b, then this condition would fail early. Like in case of high and there, the condition for a would fail early because this is only equal to, will only go up to 2, right? If this condition fails, then we will just keep on adding this, right? Which satisfies this particular statement. Any leftover characters go at the end of the result, right? And in the end, we just return word. So let me run this and let me show you the output, what it looks like. So you can see the output, it's passing for all the test cases and the output is perfect, I think. So let me explain the solution once again. So what we did is we found which string or what is the maximum length of the string out of these two inputs that we are getting. And based on this, we devised a for loop which goes up till max. Within this for loop, we checked if the counter is less than the index of the given string A. If it's less than the index, we fetched one character and we appended it to word. Then we did the same with B and we fetched one character, appended it to word. Then in next iteration, we again checked if it's less than the length. And if it is, we fetch the next character. Okay, this is different from the previous character we fetched. And we took this character and appended it to word. And same way we did for B. And this continues till we go till the maximum length of the string. And in the end, we return word. So I hope you have a fair clarity of the solution now on how it works. And I hope you guys have a fair understanding. So let me summarize. So in this lecture, we understood this problem, mixing strings, and we understood what this problem is and what are different test cases. We analyzed this problem and we came up with the right solution. So I hope you guys enjoyed this class and found this class valuable. I shall see you guys soon. Thank you. Hello guys, welcome back. So in this lecture, we are going to solve this problem, find like Bob. And by the end of this lecture, you are going to have a complete understanding of this problem. We are going to analyze this problem and then eventually code the solution. So let's get started. So you can see the problem here on my screen. So the problem says return true if the given string contains Bob, where the middle character O can be any character. So which means if this is the input, it has Bob in it. So this will return true. This one also has B and B, and in between O is 9. So this will return true because O can be any character. This will return false because B, A, C. There is no B over here. If it was B, A, B, then this would have been true. For now, it's false. So this is the problem. We have this method called find Bob, and it has one parameter, which is string, and the return type is of Boolean type. We have to return true if the match is found. We have to return false if the match is not found. How would you go about solving this particular problem? So there are a few hints here. So in order to solve the problem, you need to iterate through the string and check if the first character and the third character. So for every first character and character which is at a distance of 1 from the current character is B. So if these two are B, then the answer is true. Okay. So for example, you have to start from the first character A and you need to check the third character. If these two are B, then you return true. If not, then you start from the second character in this next iteration and you check the fourth character. So the current character plus 2 you have to check. So the current character and plus 2 character, whichever it is. So if a match is found, you return true and exit the loop. So this is one hint that I can give you all. So what I would request now is you guys should pause this video right now and attempt this solution yourself. Once you have attempted, you can play the video and watch me solving these problems. So pause the video and I'll see you guys soon. So welcome back. I hope you guys got a chance to attempt for this solution. So let me start writing the solution myself. So to start with, I'm going to get the length of the string, right? And this is to iterate over the string. And then I'll have a for loop. We need a loop that will go up to length, okay? And we can have length minus 2 over here. We don't need to go till the end. We need to go till the third last character. And let me tell you why. So if we'll write a condition here. So if string dot character at I is equal to B and string dot character at I plus 2 is equal to B, then return true. Else you return false. So I hope you guys got a clarity on the logic on what I was talking about. So you have a for loop here which goes till the third last character. And then within the for loop, you have a if statement which compares the current character with the character which is two steps ahead. And if they both are equal to b, then it returns true. So middle value can be anything. It can be 9, it can be o. So between two b's, you can have o, a, b, c, any character. It is perfectly fine. So we don't need to check that. We are just checking for the b character. And if we find this, we return true. Let me run and let me show you the output. So the output is pass for all, you can see. And I hope you guys have a clarity on the logic now. You can also optimize this by removing this variable. I can just remove the variable right now here. And I can just write the function directly over here. Okay, we don't need that variable. Not. So I hope you guys have clarity on the logic and you understood what we have done over here. So that's about this class, guys. So in this lecture, we understood this particular coding problem, find like Bob, and we analyzed the problem and came up with the solution for the same. So I hope you guys enjoyed this class and found this class valuable. I shall see you guys soon. Thank you. Hello guys, welcome back. So in this lecture, we are going to understand and solve this problem, duplicate array. By the end of this lecture, you will have a complete clarity on what this problem is. We will also be analyzing this problem and understanding a step-by-step logic. We would be then solving this particular problem using Java and IntelliJ. So let's get started. So you can see the problem here, and let me just read out the problem. So you are given an array, write a function that would return the list of duplicate elements in the given array. And if there are no duplicate elements, you return null. So this is the problem that we have been given. Now the function that we are going to write is find duplicates. And let's say you have this array as the input, 1, 2. So you can see this has multiple elements and you can see that 3 is having a duplicate. So since 3 is having a duplicate, you are going to return 3. Now in this example, you don't have any duplicates, so you return null. In this example, 2 and 10 have duplicates. So you're going to return 2 and 10 and so on. This is what is expected out of this problem. And you have this function called find duplicates. And you would be returning an array consisting of integer elements. And these elements would have the list of duplicates. So I would want you guys to give an attempt at solving this problem. So what I would do is I would request you all to pause this video right now and attempt this problem yourself. So once you're done with the solution, you can probably play the video and watch the solution I write. So I would request you all to pause and try out the solution. So welcome back. I hope you guys have given an attempt to solve this particular problem yourself. So let's analyze this particular problem. So you have an array list. Now we need to figure out the duplicate elements. So what we are going to do is we are going to create an array list. So you are given an array over here, and what we are going to do is we are going to create an array list, and this array list will have a list of all the duplicate elements that we will find. So this array list will be of type integer, and I'll call this as array list equal to new array list, right? And here I'm going to write a for loop for I, and I'm going to traverse through the length of the array. So we have the array n. I'll traverse throughout the array till its maximum length, and then I'll have one more for loop inside, right? And this will be initialized to I plus 1, and it will also traverse throughout the array. Okay, and so I have two for loops. One starts from the 0th element and the other one starts from the next element from where I is starting. Okay, so if this starts from 0, this would start from 1. If this for loop starts from 1, this starts from 2, and so on. And what I'm going to do is I am going to now write an if condition. So I am going to say if n of I, I'm going to compare if n of I is equal to n of j, then we are going to add this particular element. Okay, so now we have an array list which would have a list of all the duplicate elements. Okay, now the thing over here is we need to return in the form of arrays. What we are going to do is we are going to check if array list dot size is equal to 0. If there are no duplicates, we have to return null. So I'll write null over here. And if there are duplicates, then we have to return something else. Hold on, I'll just delete this. Else, return. I'll say we'll convert this array list to array. Okay, and how we'll do that? So we'll use something called as stream. So we'll use stream API, and you can see here for using toArray function, I'll say map to int I. Okay, and I'll print it. I think this should return the array. Let me run this code and let me show the output to you all. So you can see it's passing for all the test case and our solution is perfect. So let me explain the solution once again to you all. We solved this problem with the help of an array list, right? And what we did is we created an array list and we called it array list. And then we created two for loops. So one for loop starts from the 0th element and the other for loop starts from I plus 1 element. And then we compared the each and every element, okay, during the iteration. And if the comparison was true, we added that particular element into the array list. So whenever we found a duplicate, we added that element into the array list. Then we just did a check. If array list size is 0, which means there were no duplicates found. If the array list size was 0, we just returned null. And if array list size was not null, then we converted that array list into array and we returned as the output. And we saw all our test cases being passed. So I hope you got a gist on how this can be solved, right? So let's summarize. So in this lecture, we understood this duplicate array problem. We devised a solution for the same and understood the logic of the solution. So I hope you guys enjoyed this class and found this class valuable. I shall see you guys soon. Thank you. Hello guys, welcome back. So in this lecture, we are going to solve this particular problem called kth smallest. So by the end of this lecture, we would have understood this problem, analyzed the solution, and even coded the solution. So let's get started. So I have the problem written here on my screen. So it reads as, you are given an array and you have to write a function that accepts two parameters. One is k and other is the array itself. Now this particular function should return the kth smallest element out of all the elements in the given array. So for example, if you see this function find k smallest, you're given two inputs. One is the kth element and other one is the array over here. Now your goal is to find the kth smallest element in the array. So here in this particular case, 3 is the third smallest element in the given array. In this particular case, you have to find the second smallest element in the given array, and the second smallest element is 1. So the smallest of all is 0, and then the next smallest, the second smallest is 1. In this particular example, you have to find the first smallest. So the smallest element here, first smallest means the smallest element, and the first smallest element is 1 over here. Likewise, the fourth smallest element here, which is nothing but 4. So in this way, you have to write the logic. So what I would request you all right now is you guys should attempt this problem yourself. So I would request you all to pause the video right now and attempt the solutions. And once you're back, you can watch the solution from me. Welcome back. I hope you guys got a chance to solve the solution yourself. Let's write the code over here. So this is the function that we are going to code in. And here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to start writing the solution. So before writing the solution, let's understand. So we have to find the kth smallest. So in order to find the kth smallest from an array, it would be much more easier if we can sort the array. So what I would do is I would sort this particular array. I would say arrays. I would use an inbuilt function arrays.sort and I'll pass n over here. Okay. Now this function will sort this given array. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to return the kth smallest, which is nothing but n k minus 1. And I'm going to run this code. So you can see this has worked for us. Okay. And it was just a 2 lines of code. So k minus 1. So let's say we did k minus 1 because since we have sorted the array, so the smallest element will be at 0th index. The next smallest will be at first index. And let's say if you want to find the smallest one, which is nothing but the first smallest, that will be residing at the 0th index. So since the indexes of an array starts from 0, we need to deduct 1 from it. And that's why we have done this step. And once we do this and we return the element, we get the kth smallest element. So it's pretty easy. So I hope you guys have a clarity on the solution now. And let me summarize. So in this lecture, we took a look at the problem kth smallest element and we understood the logic and devised a solution for the same. So I hope you guys enjoyed this class and found it valuable. I shall see you guys soon. Thank you. Hello guys, welcome back. So in this lecture, we are going to solve this particular problem called find occurrence. And by the end of this lecture, you are going to have a complete understanding of what this problem is and how can you devise a solution for this particular problem. So let's get started. So you can see the problem right here on my screen. The problem says write a program to find occurrence of each element in a given array. So you have this array which is given as an input and you have to print the output like this. So the output says the element 8 is occurring 2 times, element 4 is occurring 3 times, element 2 is occurring 2 times again, and so on. So basically what it's doing is it's printing the element and the number of times it has occurred. So this is what the problem is, and I would request you all to try and attempt this solution here. So let me give you some hints on how you can attempt this solution. So you can have an array as an input, which is nothing but the input that is displayed on the screen. And you can have another array which stores the frequencies of occurrence of every element. Okay. And you can make use of 2 for loops to iterate through the array and check the frequency. So in the end, you can print the output in the desired format. So I would request you all to give an attempt to this problem here and come back and play the video and watch the solution. So I hope you guys got a chance to attempt the solution yourself. So now I'm going to write the solution for this particular problem here. So what we are going to do is we already have this input array here. And now I'm going to create another array which will be used to store the frequencies of the element. And I'm going to call this integer. And this will be of arr.length. Okay. I'm going to have a variable also which I call visited, and this variable just stores -1. And this variable we just have to keep a track of all the elements that have been visited. Now I'm going to use a for loop and I'm going to iterate over the array. So this particular for loop iterates through the array, and then I'm going to have a variable count is equal to 1. So for this first element wherein the loop starts, the count is equal to 1 because that has already occurred once in the array. So the goal is to count the frequencies. So let's say if the first element is 8, count is equal to 1 because 8 has already occurred once. All right. So whichever element it is, that element has occurred already once. So hence you are initializing count to 1. Now you have another for loop which will be j, and it's initialized to I plus 1, which is nothing but it's one step ahead of the outer loop. And here you're going to go till the length of the array. Okay. And inside this for loop, you're going to run a comparison. So you're going to run a comparison saying if ARR of I is equal to ARR of j. So I stays at one place because I is the outer for loop, and we are doing the comparison of the element that is at the ith position with every element in the array. Okay. And after this comparison, if the condition is equal to true, we are going to increment the counter, which means that we have found an occurrence of that particular element. Now, to avoid counting the same element twice, we are going to store this particular counter here. So in the frequency array at the jth position, once we have counted, we are assigning it -1. And the reason is this is to avoid the counting of same element again. Okay. So this step will give us the frequency of every element. Now, once we are done with this, we have to come out. Over here, we have to say if frequency of I is not equal to visited, then you will say frequency of I is equal to count. If frequency of I is not equal to visited, if the frequency of the element in the outer loop is not -1, then you are going to assign that particular element or that particular frequency as the count. Okay. And then we will go out of the loop, and with the help of for loop, we are going to print the output in the desired format. So our desired format is going to be, we are going to go to frequency.length, and we are going to say if frequency I not equal to it, then system.println say space rr of I plus space pipe symbol plus frequency I. Okay. We are done with the function. Let's run this code and let's see what the output looks like. So you can see we got this exact same output, right? And we have successfully finished and solved this particular solution here. So just to give you an overview, we solved this problem with the help of two for loops, and the outer for loop was set as the counter. It started from 0th element, and the second for loop started one step ahead of the outer for loop, and we kept on comparing the ith element with the jth element for every iteration of j, and if there was a match, we incremented counter, and we used frequency array keep track of the count, and we used visited variable to keep track of the elements that are not visited twice. Okay. And in the end, we printed the output in the desired format. So I hope you guys have a clear understanding of the solution, and I hope you guys enjoyed this class and found it valuable. I shall see you guys soon. Thank you. Hello guys, welcome back. So in this lecture, we are going to solve this problem, sum digits. And by the end of this lecture, you are going to have a complete clarity on what this problem is, what are the test cases, and how can you solve this problem using recursion. So let's get started. So I have the problem written here on my screen, and the problem reads as: write a program to find sum of digits of the given number using recursion. So you have to start writing the code over here in sum digits function, and you would be given an input n, and you have to return an integer. So the input can be any integer. So let's say this example over here is 1 to 1. So the output should be 4, because 1 plus 2 plus 1 is equal to 4. So you have to essentially add up all the digits in a given number and return the sum. So that is what we are going to write in over here. So before jumping onto the solution, what I would request you all is, I would request you all to pause this video right now and attempt this solution yourself. It will help you understand if you guys can solve this by yourself. And once you're done, you can play the video and watch the solution. So welcome back. I hope you guys got a chance to attempt this solution yourself. So we are going to start writing our solution over here, and we are going to solve this particular problem using recursion. So to solve this using recursion, I am going to write one statement over here. So I'm going to say return, and we know that we can use modulo operator to get the last digit of any given number. Okay, so let's say the number that we are talking about is n, and if we want to get the last digit, so in order to get the sum of all the digits, you have to get every digit one by one. Okay, first you have to get 1, then you have to get 2, and then you have to get 1 again, and then you have to add up all of them. So I'll get the last digit, and I'll say plus, and I'll do a recursive call to sum digits, and I'll pass the number removing the last digit. So since I've got the last digit over here, passing the same number by removing the last digit. So when I say divide by 10, you are simply removing the last digit. So let's say if for the first iteration, the number is 1 to 1 over here. So let's say the number is 1 to 1. You have 1 plus, and then you are passing some digits, and then you are saying 1 2. You have removed that last digit after division with 10. Okay, so that is what this means. And you are doing a recursive call to this particular function sum digits. I'll just remove this here, and now after doing the recursive call, I'll just write a condition over here. I'll say if n is equal to 0, return 0. So we'll do this recursively till n is 0, and the moment n is 0, we'll return 0, and then all the numbers, all the digits get add up and the value is returned, and then we see the output. So let me run this code and let me show you the output. So you can see it's passing for all our test cases, and the code is perfectly fine. So let me summarize and explain this once again. So here we are using the modulo operator to get the last digit of this particular number, and then we are passing this particular number by removing the last digit, because we just got the last digit and we have added it to the sum. And I'm doing a recursive call to sum digits, and there would be a point wherein the number would be 0, and in that case we want to return 0. So I've added this check over here, and once we run the solution, we get the desired output. So I hope you guys have a clarity on how you can attempt this particular problem, sum digits, right? And I hope you guys have understood the solution also. So I hope you guys enjoyed this class and found this class valuable. I shall see you guys soon. Thank you.